When I got the call to visit Hamilton County and the Adirondacks, I'm normally the magazine guy, so this was my first television trip. It was quite an honor to go to the States to do this trip. Driving up from Southern Ontario was about a 5.5 hour ride, and it was a nice drive, nice and easy to get there. So the opportunity came up to actually bring a guest along, and I thought, who better to bring than my daughter, Madeline.
Growing up, my dad was always going on these excellent snowmobiling trips, and I would hear all about how nice the trails were and how nice the hotels were and the areas. Finally, I was at an age where I was able to go with him and experience all excellent scenery that he's always been talking about.
So we arrived in the evening in a little town called Inlet. So when we arrived in the evening at the Woods Inn, we pulled up to this place, and right away you could tell that the place had been around for a while. It was very unique, right on a lake, really beautiful spot. This place was older. It was built in 1894, so it's been around for a long time. Super clean, but you got the feeling that you were in something that was really special and it had some history to it. It was just nice to be there, and we were looking forward to getting ready the next day to go on the trails. So we wake up in the morning, first day, the phone rings. It's our guide, Darren. Unfortunately came across mechanical problems with his sled and wasn't going to be able to help us that day. First thing we had to do though, we had to go to the visitors center. Sure enough, they showed us this awesome snowmobile app called the Adirondack USA Snowmobile app. So after we got settled and she showed us the trails to take and showed us how to use the app a little bit, we took off over to Clark's Marina and met up with Junior, the boss there. And what a great guy. He set us up with a couple of sleds. We were good to go from there. I highly recommend seeing Junior at Clark's if you're in Inlet to rent sleds. It's nice and easy, and he'll tell you the great spots to go, and it worked out well. Just could not believe the quality of the trails. They were nice and wide. It was just beautiful. It was like the groomer had just been out, and we were able just to rip along at a nice pace.
It was really nice. The trails were pretty similar to here, but they were a lot wider, which made me feel a lot safer. They were also really well groomed, and yeah, you could see they really cared about keeping up the image of their trails.
Really a nice safe spot to snowmobile and really see the beautiful scenery in Hamilton County and the Adirondacks.
Came up to a bend. Well, there was a few signs for lookout. There was one called Pete's Peak, and we looked on the map, just had to make a turn, and I was really interested to see what was up there.
So we pull up to the top of this peak. Immediately we look out over the vista, and it's just incredible. It's actually breathtaking. Madeline and I get off the snowmobile and we just walk over there and we kind of stand looking out in awe. It is just beautiful. Really cherish this moment together. It was just kind of a moment that not a lot of people will have. Snowmobilers, if you take your family out to Adirondacks, you'll find a million places like this one, and it's so worthwhile to do this. It's what snowmobiling is all about, enjoying these moments with your family. So at the top of this peak, it was quite cold. It was freezing. So we got back on our sleds, found our way down, wanted to hit those awesome trails again, and got to rip the throttle open a little bit.
Up with my dad. That was a good experience to let me look at the scenery a little bit more, which was nice because it's beautiful up there.
And we were really anxious to get some food in our stomachs and warm up a little bit. So we noticed on the way to lunch that there was these little off trails, like they looked smaller, a little bit windier. You're curious to try those out, so during lunch we talked about it. Sure enough, we got back on our sleds and found a couple of these. They were a lot of fun. Totally different from the first trails that we were on in the morning. We hit those and they were really nice and windy, nicely groomed.
We also went down this one windier trail. It was a bit newer, so it was a little bit tighter, but it was still really beautiful. And then we saw this one rest stop area.
There was like another little lookout down by a babbling brook, and we parked our sleds there, and it was just another moment to get off and enjoy the beautiful scenery of the Adirondacks. There's so many beautiful spots to check out, and this was definitely one of them again. It was getting a little late, and we knew we had to put some serious miles behind us, so we got back on our sleds, had to head up to Speculator, which was quite a rip. So we got on and we just rode and rode. It's just gorgeous there, lots of peaks and valleys. Trails were amazing all the way up to Speculator region at Lake Pleasant. During the ride up to Lake Pleasant, though, it was really neat to have Madeline on the back with me. You know, every once in a while she'd give me a nudge or a thumbs up. You know, it was just really special to have her along the way with me.
So finally, when we got to the Lake Pleasant Lodge, I was really happy to have a nice warm place to stay, and everyone was really welcoming there.
After a great sleep at Lake Pleasant Lodge, we were ready to rip the next day. It was a beautiful morning, and we were going to meet up with the Wilt family. We had Daniel, Christy, and Willie Wilt. Greatest people, super nice, knew the area. They were very familiar with all the trails, and they were excited to show us around too. So we got our stuff on, came out the door, got on our sleds, and they were waiting for us, and the trail was right there, and we knew it was going to be a great day.
In the Adirondacks here, there's like 750 miles of groomed snowmobile trails. There's quite a bit. There's a number of people that volunteer to go out and groom, do the best we can. We get out as often as we can and groom just about every day if we can. Try to keep the trails up nice for the people that come visit.
So when we hit the trails, the Wilt family wanted to take us on some of the best known spots. We went through the Speculator Tree Farm. We saw some beautiful vistas. We're really up there in the mountains. It was just a great opportunity to try some more of these awesome trails. They were nice and wide. We had a mixture of really wide groomed trails with lots of turns, peaks, valleys, just a nice, pleasant ride.
Snowmobiling with our tour guides was a really cool experience because they knew the trails pretty well, and they knew all these really pretty spots that we could go and just admire the trails. And I had never snowmobiled outside Ontario before, so it was really cool to have tour guides who showed us the way.
So Dan Wilt, he led the way and took us through the Speculator Tree Farm, and we ended up at a ski resort. This is a place where snowmobilers and skiers unite. It's kind of unique. And we were welcomed in there. They had a table set up for us and just had a great lunch. The owners there were just fantastic, really looked after us. It was a really nice spot to warm up. We were really impressed with that.
But it was definitely a nice place to warm up. Everyone was super welcoming.
Stopped at Oak Mountain, ate at the Acorn Grill. In fact, the owners of Oak Mountain, the O'Brien family, treated us to lunch and dessert. They did a real nice job.
Dan and Willie were talking about a great spot that had some really different kinds of trails that they wanted to take us. So it was time to get back on the sleds and venture out again. So we crossed a lake area where we got to hold the throttle open a bit, and we came across trails that they wanted to show us. And you could only access this area by snow machine or by boat in the summer. And we thought that was pretty cool. The trails themselves were very tight, but the scenery was incredible. It was the lake there was untouched. It was very serene, and it was just a really special spot to be.
One of the unique things about Fawn Lake is it's only accessed by snowmobiles or by foot. And it's a popular spot right on the lake. It's pretty, especially when the sun's out. No camps on it, so it's surrounded by state land. Premier spot to go fishing for trout, and no pollution, no invasive species, nothing. Pure lake.
The first day we went, the trails were pretty wide. They were still nicely groomed. But then the second day, we went on trails that were a little bit narrower. It was more mountainous. It was pretty windy, so it made for a really fun ride.
Yeah, so another thing about this spot, Hamilton County in general, in the Adirondacks, is that there are so many unique trails. You're not just on 4-lane highway type trails. You can find these tight, trails that are out of the way. You can find twisties. It's a really unique area to ride. Wherever you go, the trails are in great condition, which was really amazing because there was a lot of traffic out there for midweek. And I think that's a really special and unique thing about this riding area.
To thank SnowTrax for coming to Speculator and checking out our trails. We hope they had a great time. We did our best to get things cleaned up for them and have a nice ride.
You know, as time was coming to an end, Madeline and I both said that this is something that we're gonna hold close to our hearts forever. She's looking forward to going on a few more adventures. I hope that one day I can take my other daughter along too. It's something that I'll never forget. I want to thank the Adirondacks for hosting us and making this experience extra special for Madeline and I.
If you like what you've just seen, click the subscribe button and comment below. And make sure you check out all of our great videos on SnowTrax TV's YouTube channel.